You know, the state of Alabama never ceases to amaze me. I mean, you can't help but notice there's a rocket right behind me. That's a Saturn 1B rocket, a full-size scale model. And of all places, it's at a rest area just over the state line. If you was coming down from Nashville, you can't help but see it. I mean, if you didn't see it, you're blind. I mean, it's just right there. And it just jumps out at you. I mean, all of a sudden you're in Alabama and there's a rocket. You have to say, how come? Well, it turns out you trace this thing all the way back to Germany, actually. And really to a man. Really, his name's Werner von Braun. And he's over from Germany, you know, it's call it Deutschland over there. That's what they call it, Deutschland. And Werner developed the V2 rocket. It was used extensively during World War II. And he was a brilliant guy. I mean, he was a savant. He had to be a super savant. I mean, to have all of that information going through his head. And in German, too. It's just incredible. But anyhow, von Braun developed the V2, and really, he hated war. He wanted to explore space. And he actually said, I wanted to shoot these to the stars, and some of them fell in London. I guess that's true. Well, it turns out near the end of the war, these German rocket scientists knew that Germany was done. It was not going to win. So they were herded off down to Oberammergau, Germany. I've been there. I've seen it. It's incredible. Beautiful little village. Wood carving, actually, is what it's known for. Also stopping the Black Plague. That's where it stopped years ago. They do a passion play there every 10 years. I've been there. But anyhow, they was in Oberammergau, and they knew they was going to have to surrender either to the Soviets or to the United States. And von Braun's decision to surrender to the United States was because we honored the Bible, and the Soviets was atheistic. So they ended up getting down into Austria, and Werner's brother, Maxus, drove up on a bicycle and yelled out to a private in the army, "We want to surrender. I'm Werner von Braun's brother. He invented the V2 rocket," or something like that. I don't know the exact words. Kind of broken English, they said. And von Braun and all his rocket scientists and all their plans were brought back to the United States. And initially they was all taken out to Fort Bliss in El Paso. He's there for several years, and I have to wonder, after being in El Paso, because I've been there too, if he might have thought he might have made the wrong decision. Probably better than going up into the Siberia, though. I mean, can you imagine that? Freezing to death. I think I'd rather be hot than cold. But anyhow, back to the rocket, how it got here. Von Braun and all his boys was shipped up here to Huntsville, Alabama, and they founded Marshall Space Flight Center. And long story short, they all worked together and they developed ultimately the V5 rocket that took Neil Armstrong and the other boys up to the moon. You may have read about that. It's pretty historic. But anyhow, this touches me personally. Because I have a direct connection with Werner von Braun, believe it or not, it's true. My grandmother, who was born in Switzerland, Bern, Switzerland, that's where Einstein hung out as a patent examiner. And my grandmother was called in because she was fluent in German. And she translated for all them scientists when they became U.S. citizens. So it's almost as if I know him. I mean, there's just a connection. And it's a savant connection, of course that's there, but I mean, it's almost like a family connection. And my daddy actually met Werner von Braun. He came into the place my daddy owned and wanted to rebind his Bible, because my dad did that. And he said he was a very humble and very nice man, because he was a true Christian, von Braun was. So if you ever come through Alabama, you want to check this rocket out for sure, but go to the Space Flight Center. They got a Saturn V rocket laying on its side, 360 feet long. Longer than a football field. I mean, it's unbelievable. Got the boys to the moon. And it's worth seeing. It's another great thing to see in Alabama. There's more here than chicken farms and barbecue joints.